Good morning, Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, academic staff, graduates, families, friends, and distinguished guests. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island people of the Toowoomba area and from throughout this land, I thank you, your ancestors, and your future generations for the privilege of standing here on your country this morning. Fellow graduates, it is an unexpected honour to be asked to be your valedictorian today. Of course, when the graduations office first asked me if I would be interested in doing this, the easiest course of action would have been to gracefully decline and let someone else tell you about their experience over the past few years here at UniSQ. But as I'm sure we all now well appreciate, the easiest path is not always the most rewarding. And I'm not sure what the reward for standing up here is, but I didn't want to pass up the opportunity on the off chance that there might be one. So here I am. I don't know why I enrolled in the Master of Engineering Science when I did. It was just before Christmas in 2019. I had my own business which was comfortably providing for us. I was about to get married to my partner of 15 years. We had 2 healthy kids, a nice house in suburban Brisbane, and I wasn't often at a loose end. I had plenty to do: exercise, fix leaking taps, mow the lawn, clean the pool, make stuff in my shed, or sometimes just sitting on the back deck, listening to the birds sing and letting the world pass me by. I was 52 years old and I had no need for a master's degree. But then, one morning I was going through my inbox and deleting junk email, just doing a bit of housekeeping. You know, the kind of stuff you're suddenly compelled to do when you have a critical deadline looming and you're nowhere near prepared for it. And as I did that, I came across an email from the University of Southern Queensland. I think it was from around 2012, and it was a rejection of my application for a place on the Master of Engineering Science program. I would like to say I had forgotten that I even applied back then in 2012. But the truth is, I hadn't forgotten. That rejection had been banished to some safe recess deep down in my subconscious, where it couldn't catch me out with confidence tricks when I wasn't prepared for them. And as I recall, they rejected me because they didn't think much of my undergraduate qualification from 1988. It was pretty tattered. It was from Scotland, from a college that didn't exist anymore, and worse still, it was vocational education, not proper university. And that's because I was employed as an engineering cadet when I was a kid just leaving school. And then that meant that my lecturers were a fearsome bunch of retired Navy or Air Force engineers with a palpable intolerance for any young fool under the age of about 60 or so, it seemed. I quickly worked out that it wasn't a bad idea to learn and then never forget whatever it was they thought I should know. But nonetheless, I suppose I must have thought that USQ might have forgotten about my previous application, because I browsed to their website and on a whim I submitted another for the same degree. By now, I'd gone to the trouble of having my undergrad credentials verified by the relevant authorities in the UK and Australia, and I guess that must have helped, because 2 days later, I was enrolled in the Master of Engineering Science, starting in semester 1, 2020. And so, over the past 4 years, whenever I've told anyone that I was doing this degree, their first response has nearly always been to ask me why. And indeed, that's a question I've asked myself countless times since that first semester in 2020. Why am I actually doing this? Every one of us will have different reasons for undertaking what is no small task. The motivations which made us enroll, whatever they may have been, are not the same motivation which made us continue when every calorie of emotional energy was demanding that we quit. Those motivations are different again to the ones which might still see us habitually checking study desk 3 months after there's no real reason for us to be doing so. In some ways, I think not having any end goal or real purpose for my study may have made me a better student. In the absence of any other aspiration, I set myself the objective of extracting as much as I could out of every course in the degree. I committed to understanding each subject absolutely, because if my study didn't have any other purpose, I figured I may as well maximize whatever personal benefit I could from my investment. Now, I'm sure that might have been to the chagrin of more than one or two examiners who, perhaps hoping for an early mark if nobody turned up for their afternoon Zoom workshop, logged on to find only me there, waiting for them. And I was duly armed with 1,000 questions straight out of the left field. And I'm not sure if any of them are here today, but if you are, please accept my apology for all the times I surely must have made you late for your tea. On many occasions, particularly at the end of semester 2, 2021, I was tempted to roll over, pack up and call it a day. I was finding it very difficult to justify the necessary time commitment to pursue an activity which is inherently stressful at times, which was clearly having an impact on both my mental and physical health, and for which I couldn't even identify any practical utility. Again, I asked myself, why am I doing this? But I didn't quit. Something intangible made me persist, and I'm glad that it did, because I'm proud that I'm here today graduating with all of you. I'm proud to be standing up here delivering this speech, and regardless of what this day might mean to you personally, all of you, please do take the opportunity to indulge yourselves with a healthy amount of pride. Because what you have achieved, not only today, but every day over the past few years, is indeed no small endeavor. For some of us, today might mark the beginning of a new chapter, a new challenge, or a new career. For others, it's a stepping stone towards a greater goal. For me, and perhaps more than a few others, while we might still have no real idea of its place in the bigger picture, we can profoundly feel that we have done something worthwhile. That sense of self-worth comes not from any future benefit we might derive from our efforts, but from passing the test and extinguishing the doubt. And for us, that's reward enough. Every graduate here today owes a debt of gratitude to those people who are close to them. Without your support, many of us, most of us even, wouldn't be here today. To those people who understood our motivation, even when we ourselves perhaps didn't, who assisted our progress and who tolerated our absences, thank you. For me, that's my wife and companion, Ruth, who has stoically advanced her application in all of those areas with each passing year. My children, Oliver and Annika, who have shown remarkable resilience and maintained a composure which belies their young years throughout. The academic staff at UniSQ, many of whom we may sometimes forget have hundreds of students to deal with and multiple simultaneous projects, but who respond graciously and promptly to queries, whether by email or by forum post, with consummate professionalism, and to do that regardless of the quality or of the tone of the question raised. Without their efforts, there could be no graduates at all. We thank you. So where to from here? Every individual has their own unique path to tread. For some, it's already well-defined and clear. For others, maybe not so clear. But I think that not knowing what the future has in store is one of the things that makes it so good to be alive. 10 years ago, I would have said it was impossible if someone had told me I would have been delivering this valedictory speech today. Even 3 years ago, especially 3 years ago, I would have bet against it. The fact is that in just a few years from now, any one of us might be doing things or finding ourselves in situations which today we cannot possibly foresee. I think that's an enormously exciting thing. For me, though, I've got some leaking taps to fix, lawns to mow, a pool to clean, a dusty shed, and the birds are whistling a lonely tune on an empty deck in suburban Brisbane. But who knows what a morning of procrastination might one day lead to. Thank you, everyone, and good luck.